The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Canadian Heritage.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's a real pleasure to be joining you virtually this evening, and it's a real pleasure to be speaking on behalf of everybody in the House who does in fact have Irish heritage. I can't claim that, but it's a real privilege to be speaking in the House today to be discussing Private Member's Motion M18, a motion to proclaim Irish Heritage Month in Canada. If passed, this motion will establish March as a month of recognition to commemorate and celebrate the historic legacy and many contributions of the Irish community in Canada. Irish settlement and history in Canada dates back to the 1600s, much earlier than is commonly believed, with the Great Famine of 1847, which drove large numbers of Irish people to seek a new future away from their birth home. The early Irish newcomers arriving in Canada settled in Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Prince Edward Island. Their heritage is still strong and proud in communities across the Atlantic provinces, and certainly beyond as well. Quebec also received large numbers of Irish immigrants, with passenger ships carrying them as far inland as Quebec City, and even Montreal, which was as far down the St. Lawrence as was possible before the construction of the Lachine Canal, which was an incredible feat of engineering largely built by Irish migrant laborers. As time went on, the Irish community would slowly move west, and by the early 1850s, roughly a quarter of Toronto was Irish Catholic. In recognition of its Irish heritage, Ireland Park on Toronto's lakeshore features sculptures directly mirroring those across the ocean in Dublin's Famine Memorial. Over the years, as Canadians of Irish descent became more established, their influence began to be seen and felt across the country. With grit and courage, Irish people seized their opportunities and prospered in their new homes. Through their skills and energy, they and their descendants made a profound and lasting impact on the character and development of Canada. In 1851, the Irish in Quebec City founded the Quebec Ship Laborers Benevolent Association, which functioned as a labor union and is considered by many to be the first labor union in Canada. It was Emily Ferguson Murphy, the first woman in the British Empire to be appointed a magistrate, who led the legal challenge that led to the Supreme Court's ruling that allowed some women to be recognized as legal persons under the British North America Act. In fact, Canadian politics has had its share of notable Irish figures, including Sir Guy Carleton, Thomas D'Arcy McGee, and former Prime Ministers Lester Bowles Pearson and Brian Mulroney, to name just a few. While Irish people were coming to Canada to seek new opportunities in a new land, they never forgot where they came from, and their traces of their origins and their traditional music and dance never left. These were just ways to bring a small piece of home with them wherever they went. St. Patrick's Day, a day on which those with Irish heritage wear proudly on their sleeves, and many others turn into Irish folk on that day, it still holds a very strong significance for Canadians. There's been a St. Patrick's Day celebration every year in Montreal since 1824, and Toronto's celebration, one of the largest in North America, typically sees about 250,000 people line the streets to watch the parade. St. Patrick's Day is also of extra special significance to two of my neighbors in Milton, probably more, but in particular, Neil and Mel Teague. But that story requires a little bit of a history lesson. Back in 1964, a young police officer named Roy Teague and his wife Kathy decided to leave Derry-Gonolly in County Fermanagh in their native Ireland. With all the turmoil in Northern Ireland at the time, they wanted a safer and more peaceful place to raise their boys. Roy's uncle Jimmy had already immigrated to Canada, and it got good reviews, so the rest of the Teagues followed. Kathy and Roy settled in Omagh between Milton and Oakville, and Roy was immediately hired by the Oakville Police and served honorably in many capacities for Halton Police Services throughout his career. Their boys, Neil and Colin, enjoyed softball, so he learned enough about the game to become a really good coach. And Roy and Kathy live in Burlington now and recently celebrated their 57th wedding anniversary, and I want to take a moment to congratulate them on that. Neil continued with the game of softball, eventually playing for Team Canada, and is a member of the Provincial Softball Hall of Fame, as well as our very own Milton Sports Hall of Fame, class of 2019. Neil has coached their kids, Aaron, Sydney, and Aiden, and hundreds of other of Milton's athletes, and can be found often at the M3 Baseball Academy. That's Neil's baseball and softball training facility here in town. So why is St. Patrick's Day so extra special for Neil and Mel? Well, Mel's also got Irish heritage on both sides of her family, so it's only appropriate that Neil and Mel got married on St. Patrick's Day, and next week they'll be celebrating 16 years together. So I want to congratulate them as well on 16 years and say hi to Neil and Mel. The history of the Irish community in Canada stretches back centuries, and their influence and contributions are undeniable. Without Canadians of Irish descent, like Roy, Kathy, Neil, Colin, and Mel, and so many others, Canada would not be the country that we know and love today. So, colleagues, this is why I'm so glad to stand in support of Private Member's Motion M18 to declare March as Irish Heritage Month, so that an opportunity can be provided to all Canadians to celebrate and learn about the rich and proud history of Canadians of Irish descent, as I did in writing this speech today. Thank you, Madam Speaker.